Hello, Buddhas. Today we are going to embrace the moodiness of this cloudy morning and we are going to talk about voice. Now, Buddhas, before we get started, I've got a playlist down in the video description with well over 200 Buddha Billionaire videos that you can binge watch to help accelerate your spiritual awakening. Now, what do I mean about voice? Well, as you can tell, my voice is very low right now. That's because I'm filming this video first thing in the morning, and it's a Sunday morning right now. I slept in, I had a very nice, long, very relaxed sleep. And I have a very sultry, kind of masculine sounding voice, which is not normal for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And why do I feel compelled to make a video about this? Well, one main reason is that we put so much emphasis on our identity, and a part of that identity is how we sound. So normally, Buddhas, I could sound like this, and right now I'm actually having to force myself to come up with that normal tenor-like voice. And it doesn't even sound all that natural, to be honest, so I'm going to go back down to speaking like this, which is where the natural set point seems to be right now. And honestly, if it stayed here, I would be totally okay with that, but I know that we're going to go back up to that normal point some point through the day, and that's going to be the normal set point for Alex. I've just always had a higher voice. My vocal range is actually incredibly vast. I can sing anything from like a baritone, not quite a bass, but a baritone, all of the tenors. I can sing alto, and I can also sing soprano when I'm warmed up properly. So the interesting thing here, though, to remember is, how do you identify the Buddha Billionaire? Is it my voice? Is it my face? Is it my luscious hair? Is it the background? Is it the content? Is it the YouTube channel that you go to get this content from? Is it the other YouTube channel that also hosts some of my content? How do you know who the Buddha Billionaire is? I'm asking. You can let me know down in the comments. I'm waiting for you. Go down there and do that. But in the meantime, while you're furiously typing, we can also talk in more detail about sound. Now, I forget which teacher he's referring to, but Alan Watts specifically says the phrase, "Listen to the sound of my voice." There is a key difference to listening to the sound of my voice and listening to the words that I'm saying. I would go so far as to say, actually, that the words that someone uses are somewhat irrelevant. The sound of my voice is actually what's conveying the meaning and the message, and we use words as a very convenient way of everyone agreeing that we're conveying the same message. But there are so many isms in the English language that you can use that will dictate the difference between a set of words. Helping your Uncle Jack off a horse and helping your Uncle Jack off a horse are the same sentence, and I put the intonation in the same spot, but you can imagine what it would be like if you were to change it up. And this is so true for so many different things, especially in English. It's one of those languages that is very confusing with the words. There, and there are the same word. And as a dyslexic growing up, it took me a long time to know the difference between there, and there. And I still don't really know why it matters, because ultimately I'm saying there. And there's my point. So the words do convey a meaning, and they are useful, 100% useful, and especially useful when you're reading, because you can't hear the sound. So that's a totally different form of communication. But in the sound wave spectrum of communication, see, even my voice is going up a little bit now already. In the sound space, where we are conveying a message auditorily, unless you're reading the closed captions, but we're conveying a message auditorily, you are hearing the sound of my voice, and then your brain is working super hard to interpret what the words mean, and you're actually getting more than one signal that your brain has to sort through in order to understand what I'm saying. This isn't even esoteric, this is scientific at this point. And it is really interesting what happens when you listen to more gibberishy, to you, sounds. If you were to listen to me speaking in Latin, then you would have absolutely no idea, at least most likely have no idea what it is that I am saying, but I can convey a message. And I can say, O fortuna vetlut luna statu variabilis, semper crestis aucte crestis, mi hoc vic fe stabilis, which would be a phrase from O Fortuna, which is a beautiful song written in Latin. And I have absolutely no idea what the words I just used were, but I have them memorized because I had to memorize that song at one point, and I can tell you that there was a meaning conveyed in that sentence. When I say, O fortuna vetlut luna statu variabilis, I don't know what I'm saying, but there's an intention behind those words, there's an intention behind the sound, and that is being conveyed to you regardless of whether your conscious brain understands it or not. And that is so true with all of these different intonations that we're understanding here. But the real secret, the real thing, Buddhas, is that the language that you're hearing ultimately becomes somewhat of a distraction to the real message. The real truth of what I'm conveying may not come through if you're too intent on the words that I am using. And I say I and you and we, but I mean the general conveyance of language and thought overall is always going to be different than what I mean versus what you understand. And that's okay, that's part of the fun of language, that's part of the fun of the people whose jobs it is to convey information to others. They have to know how that information is being conveyed and how it's being perceived. But also, Buddhists, if you made it this far, there's a bit of a dark side to remember on this. And it's not about fearing the dark side, but it's about understanding the dark side, because both are valid and the middle way is Buddha. So, the dark side being here would be the neurolinguistic programming, the hypnotic ad suggestions, the subliminal messaging. That's the word I was really looking for. And those three things in on themselves are not evil in any way. I've used all three of them. They're incredibly powerful tools when you understand what you're doing to yourself. But if you're watching an advertisement and there's some really heartfelt, beautiful music and a story about some animal that this cute, perfect little American family is saving, and then at the end it's like, company name. But it had nothing to do with company name whatsoever the entire time, but you have that feeling of like that happiness, that like, oh my god, it's so cute, oh my god, ah! The sadness, the emotional toil they put you through. And then company name right at the end. All you're going to remember is company name and all those positive emotions that went along with it. So, I'm not trying to say never watch TV, and I'm not trying to say never watch a commercial again in your life, but when you can get to a point where you're cognitively noticing that, and you're saying, wait, I just felt great watching that advertisement, but company name at the end doesn't really mean anything to me, that's very important to notice, because you are now aware of a humongous aspect of our human society. And I am not saying that company name is being evil. They're being brilliant. There's a difference. But it's up to you, Buddha, in order to take back that power, to take back that understanding. And it's an iterative process, and this is a humongous step in the right direction when you can notice that the words are irrelevant and everything that I've just rambled over the last 8 minutes really does not matter. But what does matter is the intention behind what I'm saying, the message in the subtext. And Buddha's, the only message that I want to convey to you in any of my videos, any time of the week, 6:45 every weekday morning, is to love yourself. That's Eastern, by the way.